Got this GPX 600R a while back. I have it probably in the shed now for around a year. When I first bought it, it wasn't running. It had a problem. It would run for a few seconds and then it would cut out. To me, it sounds just like Carb, so I don't expect anything crazy with this bike. It still has been well over a year and a half since it was properly running, so we're gonna do some recommissioning on it. The battery was dead, so I took that out a while ago and I have it fully charged now. It turned out the battery is still okay. It's probably around 75% state of health. Let's throw the battery in, try and get it started, see what it does, and we'll work our way from there. Oh wow, that air filter is not great now. I'm not gonna even attempt to start it with this in it. Air filter is turning to mush. That's kind of how they turn into after a while. So we got a stripped earth here, but the connector end is off it, so we'll put a new one on. Alright, that's done. Battery's in. Let's check if we have power. Right, we have lights and we have crank. Perfect. So I might as well just remove the whole fuel tank and just run it off an auxiliary tank for now. And then we can check the fuel in the tank while it's on the bench. Slowly lift it out. I only have 2-stroke fuel at the moment, so what we'll have to do, it's no harm anyway, a bit of 2-stroke. Or actually, what I might do is I might drain those carburetors first and see if anything comes out. Yeah, that's pretty yellow. It smells pretty bad too. There's a little bit of dirt in there as well. I'll do that with all the rest of them. But there's a good few bits at the bottom. That stuff there, that green stuff, whatever that is. So I'm pretty sure the carbs are coming out on this thing. But I still want to give it a shot and start out with some fresh fuel in there and see how it's acting. We're going to control and then we can contrast to how it's going to run after we clean them. And hopefully it'll be a lot better. I won't be surprised if those carbs start leaking if the floats are stuck. But we'll give them a tap with a hammer if that. I just checked if there was too much oil in it. It seems to be fine. Okay, the carbs are all filled up and there's no leaks. Fantastic. Right, so we can give it a shot. Yeah, it's a little better. So choke on. It's not taking throttle at all though. I do hear a little bit of a noise, a slight knock. And we're out of fuel now already. Well, I'm going to start it again and let it heat up a bit. I'll check the coolant first. If that's fine, I'll just continue. And then also I'll drain the oil at the same time. Because that oil is probably very old by now. You can hear it farting and popping a bit. Definitely not consistent on all four. A bit of surging. That knock is kind of gone now since it's firing a bit more consistently. Now it's back on lower. It's like it's only running on one or two cylinders there. That's good. That's hot enough now for me to just change that oil, and we'll also take out those carbs, get them on the bench, and see what they really look like. It's a bit of a wrestle to get these carbs out, to be honest. There's not much room between the airbox. It doesn't go back much. It's a pretty awkward carb set to take out. I'm not gonna lie, even the throttle set up and everything, and where the coils are positioned, doesn't really help. Alright, finally, got them out. Gonna cover the intakes up just so nothing gets inside. Yeah, they should be safe now. Alright, drained the oil there a while ago and she's all out now. I stuck a new oil filter in it too. That's where the oil filter goes. I might just open up the oil filter that came out of it and have a quick look. It's not too bad. Like, I see some stuff that resembles metal. Mostly the typical stuff that would end up into it. Right. These carbs are going to get cooked. So let's open them up. Give them a good old inspection. There's some weird blue stuff inside these carbs. I reckon they were sealed with some sort of sealant and some of that has come off inside. You see the blue sealant now. Probably used a little bit too much of it. They look relatively clean inside. More blue sealant. Okay, they all look relatively clean surface-wise, but I'm sure some of these jets or the pilots probably blocked with that gasket material. Let's remove all the jets. I might even do the adjustment screws. Make sure every orifice and port is free and clean. Everything that came out of this carb will go back into it, all the components that came out. And I don't like mixing and matching, even the floats and the needles. They're meant to all be exactly the same, but I just prefer it that way. Although in some carburetors they are actually different, but I don't think these are that kind. These are working fine. And now we have these. They're binding. Looks like there's something going on up here with the spring. You don't want to go up much further. Let's check that out. So I reckon the spring wasn't on that. Be very vigilant now to see if it really was out of the hole. Yeah, as you can see, the spring wasn't in the correct place. It was just sideways. It needs to be in that little plastic protrusion. Okay, looks like they were put together probably incorrectly. I don't see how that would happen to a normal operation. Interesting. I haven't seen that before. Carbs came out quite nice. Cleaned everything with carb cleaner, all the ports, all the holes, a bit of compressed air along with that. Careful with the compressed air though, you don't want to blow out any washers or O-rings that are in here, in your adjustment screw area. Let's put everything back together. We're going to start on this carb and work our way over. Everything looks good. I have put sealant on the float bowls. There was sealant on them beforehand, so I presume those gaskets weren't doing the job anymore. Now before I put them in the bike, I'm going to let that sealant cure and then bench test the carbs, make sure everything is sealing and make sure the floats are working so we don't have any overflows. And then we'll throw them back in the bike. Oh yeah, piss yellow fuel. Yummy. All that old fuel drained out of the tank. It's pretty yellow, definitely not too bad. Fortunately, this tank has almost zero rust in it. It's actually really good condition. Okay, these carbs are going to go in now. Just going to fire them in there. I'm not going to film it or anything because this is going to be a bit of a pain. So let's just throw them in there now. Nice. Not as bad as I thought it would be. It was probably easier to put them in than take them out. One of the things that I did was move the boot clamps for the carbs, open them out as wide as I can and push them all the way up here so the carbs wouldn't catch them. Install the throttle lines when it was halfway in here. You can just about get them in so then you're not fiddling down here. These boots might come off as you're pushing it in, but it's not impossible to get them back in with this amount of space because you can just push and mold that rubber. Even though this one's pretty hard. Actually might have to take this one out again because it's not wide enough. Okay, topping it up with some fresh oil. 5100 10W40 from Motul. Should be nice for it. Roughly around 3 litres, but I'm not sure. Oh, shite. I'm not sure the exact amount that goes in it. I usually just go by the sight glass here. Get it roughly around 3/4 of the way, run it a bit, and top up if needed. It's taken some fuel. Everything is sealing. We bench tested, so I knew nothing would leak. Also, I forgot last time not to blank off the vacuum for the fuel tap. Probably one of the reasons why she was running so rough. Could have been much better because one cylinder was probably not even firing at idle. Blank that off and we'll get it started. We have our choke on and let's crank it over. Whoa. That was a lot quicker than I expected. It's taken the choke very nicely. Now we have still yet to balance it if it needs balancing. Check the spark plugs too, they seemed okay, but we'll know that after a bit of running. Oh, there we go. Ho ho! Still have to put the air filter in and secure the air box a bit better. Oh, that sounds pretty good. So I took that far right boot out because it was so hard and stiff. Just got a heat gun, heated it up and started stretching it so it goes on easier. Might even use the heat gun to get them back on again because they're so bloody stiff. This needs to be mounted correctly. There can be no vacuum leaks. These carbs need that restriction. They're very precise. Otherwise it won't take so well, or you might have a dead spot and then it might come up again. This air filter really just turned to mush. This is what happens to them eventually. There is a high flow air filter available for the GPX, but I'm just going to make my own bit of foam, and I can just, it's a very simple design, so I might as well just make it because I save a bit of money on that. Made this kind of basic little filter. It's a bit big, but we'll manage to squeeze it in here, and it should have the same restrictive values as the other filter. Managed to squeeze it into that little plastic frame. It should do the job nicely. It's running quite nice, and now she takes the throttle fully now with the air filter in place. So I made these rubber bung things go right inside here between the airbox and the frame, just to keep the airbox pushed up against the carbs, because you can see they're kind of slipping off already. I want to keep that pushed in there. That's what these are going to do. So there's a good bit of grip on it. It doesn't really want to come out once it's in, so vibrations won't be a problem. So I'll get them in and you'll see what I mean. You can see it's mounting pretty decent all the way along as well. These wouldn't stay on otherwise without this, because this really makes the airbox not movable. So and there's a bit of give in the rubber and it won't wear anything, so it's a good solution. With the GPX 750R that I have, the airbox was removed, carbs rejetted, and put pod/cone air filters on it. Might do that with this bike too, because these rubbers are just, they're not great, you know, but they are working fine for now, and it is as it should be. So I'm quite happy with that. Pretty much done. I'm just going to do a quick balance, check it out, make sure it's good. Gonna slap on the tank, the fairings. I'll check the brakes and we can take it for a spin. The GPX is all ready. Gave the bike a quick once over, put some air in the tires. They're a little bit low in the front. Chain is good, our brakes are working, we have coolant, bit of fuel in the tank, and we're good to go. It looks pretty good, even though it's not cleaned yet. I'll give it a clean now after this. We're gonna find out if there's any knickknacks we need to sort out on this test spin, and also we need to get some fuel. The oil seems a touch low, so I might just top that up. And it's a bit white because we didn't really get it to full operating temp just yet, and there's a lot of condensation, I'm pretty sure. Horn works. Check everything. Indicators work. Got our running lights, got our brake light, and the rear one works too, but you have to press pretty hard. Fantastic. Now we could, I didn't put it on the reserve, so we could just be running out of fuel. I reckon it was just running out of fuel. Let's see if she starts again. We are on, but it's vacuum operated. Good to go. Damn, it has a pretty rough idle now. Yeah, it could be fuel again, or it could be spark plugs. It's kind of hard to tell. Okay, it still has that idling thing. I'm pretty sure that's a spark plug. Yeah, so that was overall a fantastic ride. Quick, responsive. Found the suspension a little bit stiff in the front, so I'll check that out. We got a steering wobble when we let go of our handlebars. Could be down to the suspension or the front tire. There was a bit of a vibration at first. They're nice and warm now. but I noticed that's kind of went out of it, so I think there might have been a flat spot on one or both of the tires, but that's fixed itself. Brakes are working really good. That back brake is a bit too good maybe. The whiteness in the oil is gone, so we know we've ran it to full operating temp and it's evaporated all those nasty things in there. Adjust the throttle, and I might just change out the spark plugs, find which one is the faulty one. I think it's just one that's doing that. Yeah, really happy, really fast for the little bike it is, and surprisingly comfortable. I'll get those other bits fixed up, the throttle, check out the spark plug, see how that, get that idle nice and good again. And the tires are dated. The front is 2014 and the rear is 2013, so they're definitely needed for a change. That's all easy stuff. We did the fun part, getting the carbs going and getting it recommissioned after a year and a half, 2 years most, before it was running last, and she's flying it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and keep an eye out for the next bike.